Are you actually chasing 5% dividend yields on a portfolio capital of 10,000 ringgit? Then in this video, I can actually tell you you're wasting your time. The reason for me saying that is actually pretty simple. Think about the math for a second. 5% on a 10,000 ringgit portfolio, how much does that get you? 500 ringgit. And the hours you spend to find that 500 ringgit. I call that energy misallocation. And why a lot of people fall into this trap is because young people these days have been sold the idea of passive income, easy money, drop shipping ideas, crypto moonshot, FIRE, financially independent, retire early. So all these are actually depriving you of actually skill building and leveraging on that years that you could have developed this skill to solve bigger and bigger problems that actually leverage up your income. The world and the market pays you for solving problems. The bigger the problem, the bigger the money is to be made. A lot of people think inwards and wishing for financial freedom too early in their life, but rather if you think on behalf of other people and solving their problems, that's where you can really leverage up your wealth. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is John, former engineer, turned full-time investor, now wealth planning director at Phillip Capital and author of an upcoming book called The Malaysian Multi-Baggers. For PLCs to qualify to be in the book, you have to at least 10 times your shareholder returns over the past 20 years. You see, you can't defy the laws of physics in finance as well, and in this video I'm going to show you a roadmap of how high net worth individuals actually evolve and leverage on things like sweat equity, skills arbitrage, capital allocation, and critical decision-making process tools to help them be where they are today. So the start of phase one is actually pretty simple. You are trading time and your labor for actually cash or money. Now, this stage, you're usually 15 to 25. You're just at the beginning of your career. Your goal is very simple: accumulate as much cash as possible, and you've got to be a very thick skin, right? The vehicle you're going to accumulate this is really service and labor, and the beauty about this phase is really risk-free learning. So you are actually trading your time and effort for money. And how do you do that? Things like, mowing the lawn, car wash. I mean, mowing the lawn in Malaysia, especially in KL, doesn't really apply. Landscaping, basic sales, even being at the, let's say, Parkson and trying to sell clothes, entry level corporate grind, helping someone prepare PowerPoint slides, or even repairing computers. That's what I did. As a 17-year-old, my father was, God bless him, very visionary. He got me a very, very low paying job, 150 ringgit a month back then, 1990s, right? Right after my Form 5 exam, this was the last day of the paper. I went to work I went to intern actually at a computer company, and my job was literally pulling cables. I can even remember how to braid LAN cable by memory, because I have to braid 600 of them. I have to climb roofs for 150 ringgit a month. But those formative years taught me the value of labor, taught me the value of you can't actually earn for long just using your hands because you have no leverage. So this is where you learn things like, how to deal with angry customers, how to deal with sales psychology, especially if you're, selling parade wares at Parkson. So all these are your formation years that someone is actually paying you to learn. That is phase one. So phase two comes from transitioning of working hard to working smart. You're probably, in the mid stage of your early career, 25 to 35 years old. This 10 years of, working in teams, working in a company, working with more people of different kinds of characters. And your goal now is to evolve from just doing low-level entry work, low-value work, to somewhat of a high margins and network with the right people. So the vehicle that you can use is things like consulting, specialized services, where you are starting to solve more and more expensive problems. So an example of this, rather than just selling very low merchandise or very low wares that has very thin margins, start selling products that are a little bit more niche, a little bit more complicated. Things like insurance. I think I did a brief stint of insurance planning and selling for about a year, and I think that really humbled me and really made me understand that how do I think on behalf of the customer. So this is where instead of being paid like 10, 20 ringgit an hour, you're being paid like maybe 50 ringgit an hour or even more, because the value of the problem you're solving gets bigger and bigger. And this is where you will find people who might eventually fund your future, may not be in terms of money, but maybe in terms of sweat equity, right? Here is also the problem, because when the money becomes good and you start selling products that you are very, very familiar with, especially those who sell financial products like insurance or some unit trust, right? The money is good, but they get stuck there because they realize they don't evolve. Money is good. They start enjoying life. They don't trade up their skills anymore, and this is where most people get stuck in the middle income trap. Think of those guys in multinational corporations that, you start off with maybe 5,000 ringgit as a junior entry executive, and then you reach to a point where you become middle manager and you get paid like 15,000, 20,000 a month. And what do? You start buying, you leverage up your lifestyle. You start buying a bigger house. You start buying a bit better car for your family. It says, yeah, this is to reward myself after years of in university and years of hard work. But those people who stuck here, they will never find this true essence of time freedom. I can name you numerous examples of people who actually get stuck here as well. Imagine the professional service guys, the lawyers, the doctors, or consultants, or even training service providers. So these are areas that I'm a little bit more familiar with because they're either my clients or business associates. And this is where they're still trading time for money. They have not reached or evolved into a phase where they learn capital allocation skills. They learn how to invest. They learn how to find assets that can work for them instead of working for other people or working for clients with their time. And this is the phase where I would say 90% of people never achieve true financial freedom and true time freedom because they don't know how to leverage on other people and other resources or other asset classes. They fear the risk of losing money is more painful, and they just continue with the status quo running this mill. And most employees get stuck here. Most solopreneurs get stuck here. Even people who own businesses get stuck here because they do not transition. They do not understand how assets, and this is a skill that is not easy to be honest. They do not understand how assets can actually work for them, and that's the pivot that you would need to move on to phase 3. So phase 3 begins when you actually have, I wouldn't say substantial, but enough amount of liquid net worth that you can start evaluating and putting money into these assets to help make it work for you. And this is where, rather than think about wealth preservation as well, you should also learn how to balance risk reward, where certain assets can actually grow substantially over time. And you need to have the skill set, or you need to find partners in your journey to evaluate these assets and to understand the risk better, rather than fearing it but leaning into that risk. Your ultimate goal is to transition from exchanging time for money to having time freedom where assets actually work harder for you. Obviously, there's many books out there that give you very surface kind of concept, but I think what needs to be resolved is either you need to determine whether you want to accumulate those skills yourself, or find people, processes, or a system to actually help you achieve that. And most people, they may be very happy running their business, fine. But most people also realize that they deleverage all this risk by relying on other people's experience and other people's time to do that bidding for them. Starting small, learning and understanding it, being comfortable with the risk, and then going bigger and bigger. So the vehicle is really understanding all these different asset classes and what suits them. It could be real estate, it could be equities, it could be commodities, it could be buying businesses, private businesses, and then turning it around. They could be. This is a capital allocation skill that I don't find many people actually have, because it takes not just time, but also skill set and experience, and also, I would say, business shrewdmanship, for the lack of a better word, to be able to. But people who practice this skill, these are the guys that make really big money, right? Because they know how to leverage all three. So the alpha really is money works rather than you. You make money while you sleep, and this is the phase where once you start accumulating more and more experience, being a capital allocator, know how to make strategic decisions, that's where instead of just being happy with $1 million, you can hit your 8-figure, 9-figure, or even 10-figure kind of wealth. So if you're successfully navigated phase 1, phase 2, now you're sitting on this capital that needs to work, because as I've shown you in the previous videos within this channel, actually sleeping money is actually dead money, because currency debasement, inflation is going to eat into your purchasing power parity, which means in simple terms, the value of your money that you store earning 2-3%, being safe, is not going to earn you much in the future because of all this inflation. So those who have not transitioned into phase 3, those who have not had the appetite to understand due diligence word, how to assess risk, how to vet whether a good asset is worth investing into. These are times when you should look at the ecosystem and say, who can I partner to scale and to leverage this skill set? Because you may be very good at phase 1, phase 2. You may be a solopreneur. You may be a business owner that, I can make 20-30% in my business. But eventually one day, you've got to retire yourself from the business. You've got to find that time that you really wanted to take your family on a holiday, and to give you a sense of, a blocks of time where you can just do whatever you want rather than worrying about the business. Believe it or not, if you ask most business owners out there, you may see their wealth, but one of the things, or the most precious commodities, they can't give you more of it, is actually their time. So there you have it, the 3 phases, where phase 1 is really exchanging labor and time for money. Phase 2 is where you skills arbitrage, you level up and you solve bigger problems with your experience and your time. And phase 3 is where you really level up and you find, or you allocate capital into assets that can actually generate you income without you having to do anything. And the famous John Paul Getty actually said this, I rather have 1% from 100 people rather than 100% of myself, because then I'm leveraging on the effort of others. And this is exactly what phase 3 really actually means. So curious to know in the comments, are you in phase 1, 2, or 3? And if you're looking for a partner to help you determine whether you should scale up phase 3, let me know, link in the description.